friends, welcome back to my channel. So, thought to share a new video with all of you about how to become an IT business analyst. In our last couple of videos, we have discussed about introduction, about what is business analyst does, what quality business analyst should have, what is the business analyst's work. So in this video, I am going to cover, or you can say kind of a recap of our previous couple of videos, and we are going to discuss about what business analysis techniques we have, requirement gathering techniques we have. Yeah, and in my upcoming videos, I am going to share with you how to start the business analyst work. Once you have a project in hand, how you can start your work, what is the first step to start the business analysis work. So let's start with the introduction recap first. So we have had discussed about the business analysis definitions, that what exactly the business analyst does, what is the business analysis work. So it's a practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining and articulating requirements to deliver value to stakeholder. So as you are already aware that we have discussed about what is value, what all stakeholders are in our previous videos. So you can say that wherever there is a change, there is a need of business analysis, and we define, as a business analyst, we define and articulate what all requirements are there so that stakeholders can get the value out of it. Another definition, you can say that it's a process to identify, gather, analyze, and document the business requirements. So as we know that we have to gather, we have to analyze, we have to document the business requirements. Third definition could be identify and understand the business needs and enabling solution to meet them. So here we talk about, after doing the business analysis work, what all different proposed solution we can propose to the customer, to the stakeholders, which can get value to them, or definitely a probable solution, though you are not designing any solution, but yeah, in the process of ideation, you can say that this is the probable solution of this problem or this change. Business analysis work is used to understand the current state to define the future state. Sometimes you have to analyze, you have to understand the problem areas within the business by having a discussion or having a, you can say, conversation with different stakeholders which are using the current system, and they have some certain pain areas. So you have to understand those pain areas, you have to understand the current state and define the future state. Another definition could be decomposing the high level business goals into smaller stories to deliver the change faster into most efficient way. So basically, when you go to the stakeholder or person who is giving you the requirement, can give you one business goal, that what is the high level business goal. Now it's a duty, or it's a, you can say, responsibility of a business analyst to decompose, to further break down those big problems into the smaller parts and take it ahead as a requirements. Now, another one can be eliminating the waste, non-productive steps from the process to ensure lesser time to market. So as we have understood in our previous definition, that you have to analyze the current state. So when you go and analyze the current state, you definitely find some steps which are non-productive, which are not required as a process. So you suggest those processes to the stakeholders so that they can eliminate those waste from their productive systems, so that customer or end customer can get the product on time, less time as compared to the current processes, and they get value out of it. Another definition could be analyzing the real-time market scenarios which may impact the business goal. So as a business analyst, you have to always ensure that you understand the market scenario, changing market scenarios, wherein you can guide your stakeholders. Okay, this is the problem which is currently pertaining in the market, which we can resolve, or we can take an upper hand in our products, which will ensure that customers are attracted to our products. That ways you bring on value to the customer. Understanding the pain areas of business and suggesting the probable solution. So this we have already discussed, that you understand the pain areas from the operations, from their existing processes, from their existing products, by understanding the customer reviews, by understanding the end user reviews, by understanding the people who are using the system, their reviews, their feedback, and provide or you suggest a probable solution. And one last but not the least, it is continuously adding value to the business. So as a business analyst, when you are assigned to certain project or some company or some assignments, then it's your duty, or as a business analyst it's your responsibility to always look after various opportunities wherein you can go ahead, suggest business, okay, this is the thing which we can, if we can implement this, or we can eliminate this non-productive step, or we can go ahead and bring on this change, this will definitely add value to the business. So there are multiple definitions I have discussed with you in this PPT or in this slide, which you can definitely go ahead and understand. Thereby, you can understand the role of a business analyst or what business analysis is. Now, this we have discussed already in our session one, or you can say the introduction session, which is qualities of a business analyst. So there are few qualities we have discussed. I have added few more here so that you can get more detailed view out of it, which is attention to detail, problem solving skills, good communication skills, analytical ability, out of the box thinker, negotiation skill, time management, which is part of almost every assignment or every work you do. Time management is very important. Interpersonal skills. So interpersonal skills is something with the way you communicate with your stakeholders, how you behave with your stakeholders, how you build a rapport with your stakeholders so that you can get your queries answered on time, you can refine the requirements on time. So interpersonal skills are very much required. Remember, all the business analysts out there, you have to ensure that you always build a rapport with your customer. You should have a healthy relationship, healthy uh, communication with your stakeholders, so that they are impressed with you. You have to always you should always maintain and build your interest in yourself, so that your stakeholders consider you an important and integral part of the project. They should respect your suggestions. They should be always ready to discuss with you what all problem areas are there. And this comes when you practice, or when you understand the project, when you get into the details, which we talk about, like attention to detail. You always look after to resolve their problems. You always communicate with them, which is very much important. Sometime project is over, it doesn't mean your relationship with that stakeholder is over. When you are in some company, when you are in some project, there might be new projects coming in, new assignments coming in, and the same people you have to deal with again and again. So you should always remember to build a rapport with them, which is a long term relationship. Another thing is like knowledge of industry and business area is plus. the, Basically, when you start getting into a project, when you understand the project, the industry, say for instance you are in some telecom project or some banking project, so you have to have understanding and knowledge like what exactly this industry is doing altogether as a whole in the market. Well groomed and pleasing behavior. So you have to always ensure that you're, when you are going for a face to face meeting or a video call or a video meeting, you are well groomed, well dressed, and your behavior is very good with your stakeholders, which will ensure them that they are listening to you, you are listening to them, which gives you a upper hand to gather the requirement, to understand the requirement, to refine the requirement very well. As a whole, we can say that as a business analyst is someone who helps an organization to achieve its goals by acting as a bridge between various stakeholders in a process or a project. Yeah. Let's get into the session one, which we have discussed how to become a stakeholder. Here we've discussed roles and responsibility of business analyst, what business analysts do. So as you understand, everybody will say the requirement gathering is the responsibility of a business analyst. So requirement gathering, writing use cases, specifications, preparing the business requirement document BRD, translating them into the functional specification document FRS, and maintaining requirement traceability metrics. So here we talked about various documents which says BRD, FRS, or requirement traceability metrics. So we are going to discuss in my upcoming sessions what exactly and how you prepare this BRD, what all the elements of BRD and what all the elements of FRS are, or the traceability, how the traceability metrics look like. But on a very high level, you can say that the requirement which you discuss with the clients, you have to use, as you are already aware that we generally document those requirements as a use cases or user stories, epics, features. There are different other ways which we are going to discuss in our upcoming videos. So this is how you maintain the requirement documents, and the traceability is something which you ensure that once you have, say for instance, you have captured requirement number one, so how it is flowing in the solution document, how it is going into the testing document, how it is going into the implementation, how end user is actually started using it. So how your requirement is traveling is something, is a traceability wherein you can go back and immediately look after, okay, if this particular test case is there, where this test case is coming from, it is requirement number 1, 2, 3, or what is the history of this particular requirement. Generally in few tools you can say like Azure DevOps or a Jira tool, you get the audit trail. So who changed it, who modified it, where it has gone. So all this kind of traceability you have to capture as a business analyst so that you have a hold on your requirements. Another responsibility, you can say that facilitating the product discovery sessions along with the discovery and proposition manager to agree on product ambition and high level requirements. So facilitating is something that you have to ensure that people who are required, the relevant stakeholders who are required, are coming on, you are invited on to the call or a meeting. Then you can discuss with your proposition manager. Proposition is nothing, who is giving you or who is the source of requirement. Sometimes it can be a customer, sometimes it can be a business representative, or anybody who is actually giving you the requirement is the proposition manager who is proposing this requirement. So you as a business analyst, you have to ensure that you are facilitating few sessions, few discovery sessions, and you are looking after the refined requirement. Now, when we say leading workshop sessions to ensure requirements are clarified and correctly captured, so when you say leading workshops means you have to take a lead, take a lead from front, and you have to ensure all the relevant stakeholders are there in the meeting. You should have your questions beforehand prepared, wherein you can ask those questions with these stakeholders, and you get a requirement clarifications. You refine your requirement, you go back and understand from them that what exactly the requirement means, yeah, so that your requirements are refined at the right first time, which ensure that delivery is on time, yeah. Another one is creating and detailing out epics, features and acceptance criteria. So these are nothing but, you can say, a technique to gather your requirement or to document your requirement. Now how this epics gets created, how it is decomposed to feature, what all different acceptance criteria you create, how you create this acceptance criteria, we are going to learn this in detail in my upcoming videos. So managing requirement walkthrough sessions to relevant stakeholders and getting their sign off after incorporating the feedback received. So generally what happens when you gather these requirements, you get into one document. Sometime nowadays it is mostly into the tools like Jira or Azure DevOps. When you document your requirement, you give a walkthrough to the people who were involved while doing the entire refinement. Now, few people will be reviewers, few people will be the signing off authority. Once you understand that your requirement gathering is complete, your requirement is refined, then you go back and you provide a walkthrough to these people, and you understand from them if there are any feedback. You put those feedback again, you change your feedback, you change your requirement details as per the feedback received, and you take a sign off from them so that you can pass on these requirements to the design teams. Another one is ensuring timely resolution of queries raised by the proposition manager, product owner, solution architects and scrum masters. Sometimes when you get into the call for doing a refinement of your requirements, so you might not have answers to everything. Sometimes you have to politely say, okay, currently I don't know these answers, but yes, I will get back to you and this time. Yeah, if you have given them a week's time, 2 days time, 3 days time, whatever you have committed, you have to ensure that you resolve those queries on that particular commitment. Yeah, you once you get those answers, you go back to your stakeholders, they are going to give you more feedback, then again you refine your requirements, and that ways it is a kind of a cycle wherein your requirements get refined into multiple calls. Yeah, coordination with product teams, solution architects, project teams, and technical delivery team to ensure release timelines are met. So we are going to understand in my upcoming videos that what is backlog, how you plan your requirements into sprints. So sprints are nothing but, you can say, delivery methodology, agile, you use generally for nowadays for project deliveries. So you have to ensure that whatever requirements you put into those sprints, those are refined, those are all queries are answered on time, so that deliveries are not get delayed because of a business analyst. So these were the few roles and responsibilities which I think are important as a business analyst, which you can definitely understand and incorporate in your day-to-day work. Now another thing what we have discussed is like what all different types of requirement. So business requirement, user requirements, functional requirement, and non-functional requirement. This we have already discussed on a very high level in my session 1 video. So thought to have a recap again. So business requirements is nothing but how it gets captured. So business purpose, what is business ambition, and what is business benefit. So these are the three things. Basically, it's a kind of a format I have put in here, and you have to ensure that business requirements are always smart. Why we say smart? It should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bounded. So all requirements which you get, no matter it's a business requirement, user requirement, functional or non-functional, or any other type of requirement, it should be very specific. It should not be ambiguous. It should be measurable, like what all different timelines you need, how much resource you need. It should be measurable, what all different benefits it is going. So those what benefits you are getting out of it once it is implemented. So those measurable requirements should always be there. Achievable, it should be achievable. It should not be something which is not possible at all and you are putting it as a requirement. Relevant, it should always be relevant to business, and it should be time bounded. Time bounded means how long it will take, 3 months, 6 months to get this requirement implemented. Now when you say user requirements is user role, the input user want to give, and what is the output user want. So when you say a format of a user story, as a user I want to change this so that I will get this benefit. Yeah, functional requirement, as we have discussed, is basically a system requirement which is which tells a system to do something or a trigger on some trigger or some condition, and that ways that algorithm or calculation and data processing will happen and your transaction will get complete. So this is mostly get into it is mostly written by domain teams or technical teams who are looking after that system. But yeah, as a business analyst you have to be there to coordinate with them that system requirements are currently placed or correctly placed. Non-functional requirement, as we have already discussed, this is something for the accessibility, usability, security, scalability, availability, and reliability. So all these things are something which is you can say attribute of one system altogether. How that system behave once if your requirement as a new requirement which you are putting in is going to put on some load or some new functionalities are coming in. So what will be the system availability? System is not going down, system is not getting that particular load. How much scalability is required, what are the different security requirements, it is not breaking any security attributes, or you can say security parameters. So all these things you have to take care You have to understand from the stakeholder, you have to give it to the domain guys, you have to discuss with domain guys so that you refine your requirements completely. Now, stakeholder identification, this we have discussed in our session one video. So stakeholder identification is nothing but when you go and get the requirement from stakeholders, you have to understand who are going to be your stakeholder. Now there, the first source of a stakeholder you get like customer or a business who is going to give you the requirement. However, you have to identify the other stakeholders which can be relevant for your requirement or for this project. Mainly we have discussed like business analyst, as in you will be the primary stakeholder, your customer who is the source of requirement, then your domain SMEs. So whatever domain you are working on, say for instance you are working in the CRM domain, billing domain, requirements, where the requirement, which domain requirement is coming from. So you have to ask the domain SMEs to come forward and make you understand that what is the current state of this implementation, and if we are going to change, what are the impact it is going to have on this particular system, so that we can take into our consideration while writing or documenting the requirement. Now, implementation SME is one who is actually the team who is using the system as an end user. For example, when you go into some retail shop, there are people who are there to bill or who scans your products, who provides you the bill, who asks you for the payment. So all these people are the end user of that particular system. So there is an implementation SME who is going to guide you about what is the current pain areas, what all different things, how this particular new change is going to impact them, what all different considerations required. Security and legal is something like there are, every company has their own security parameters or industry security parameters. Same goes with the legal. So you have to always invite them to make them understand what is the problem is, what solutions, probable solutions, what is the requirement, and then they are going to tell you their feedback. So what all things you have to consider as part of your requirement gathering or your requirement documentation. Now, architect is one who has designed or who knows the end-to-end design of this system, which is going to guide you about the technical requirements, what all different things you have to consider while taking the functional requirements or while going ahead and talking or communicating with the business. Testing team is very much important, because here whatever requirement is you are going to document is going to go after development or after you can say getting into the test environment. It is going to be with the testing team who are going to test this feature or test this functionality for the business, and they are going to give your feedback. Yeah. So they should know, well aware about what is requirement coming from, so that they can start preparing the user use cases or test cases about your requirement. Customer experience SME, user experience SME. So these are again stakeholders who look after the customer experience, who look after the end user experience, that what all different changes required, any cosmetic changes required as part of this requirement, so which your user experience is going to tell you, or any customer experience issues are there, then CX experience team or CX SME is going to tell you. Product owner is one who in the agile environment who owns this product, who is primarily responsible to bring on any change in this product. So you have to always consider the product owner. Now the scrum master, project manager, program manager, these are all the people who in different scenarios, these are all the people who look after the project end to end, right from the requirement to the implementation and when it goes live. So you have to always make sure that these people are well informed and invited into all the calls, so that they are well aware that what is actually happening with this project. Any other stakeholder as per project needs, may it be third party, may it be supplier, may it be anybody who has the interest on this project, is your stakeholder. So this is the list, which is not limited to these roles, but yes, on a starting basis you can start having a discussion with these stakeholders, and later on, either these later on as you progress, you get to have more stakeholders. Now, how you classify this stakeholder, or how you maintain what all different you can say ways. So, on my way of classification is RASI matrix, which is very good and which is very easy to manage the stakeholder. Now, as we say, all this stakeholder, like who is when you say what is Rasi, so Rasi is R means responsible, A is accountable, C is consulted, I is informed. So when you say responsible, so the person who is actually looking after this project or who is delivering the change in, when you, if you consider yourself as a business analyst and you are doing some BRS, or you are documenting some requirement, then you are responsible person. Accountable is the person who will sign off your work and judging its completion and how it meets the quality standard. This could be a project sponsor or whoever has the final sign off authority responsibility. So the person who is giving you the requirement is, you can say, that is accountable for the sign off, as he understand that what requirement he has given to you. Then you have had multiple discussions with the stakeholders, then you come up with a document wherein all the requirements are documented properly, clarified properly, and those can get into the sign off phase, and after sign off phase it can get into the next phase. Consulted are the people who has the ability, knowledge needed to complete the work, though they are not going to do the work, but yes, they are going to suggest you, like as we have discussed, the domain SME, the legal SME, the UX SME, CX SME, various SMEs, architects. So these are all people whom you can consult about your requirement, and those are the stakeholders who are going to help you to complete this requirement on time. Informed are the people who must keep informed of the work about, but not necessarily consulted. So these are the people who are not part of your journey. Sometimes they are, sometimes they are not. However, they need the information about the progress of your project. Now, the classic example is the design team. After you complete your work, you inform them your requirement classification or requirement gathering is completed, then they are going to start their work about design. So this is stakeholder classification, how you do. If you have any questions, you can definitely comment, and I'm happy to answer those queries. Let's move on to our next slide, business analysis techniques. So as we discussed this SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. So this is something which business analysts do. The internal factor as a strength, that what all different, if you look after one product and you have to do a SWOT analysis of that product, you look after what all different internal strengths are there. So those factors are internal strength. Weakness can be the external factors, and threats and opportunities. Basically, when you look at that product from market point of view, so you understand various scenarios, that is there any different better product with less price available in the market. Those can be threats. If there are no products, such kind of a product, or if you do some improvement and there can be this can be a better product in the market, so that is called as your opportunity to have or to implement in this particular product. So this way you do the SWOT analysis. Most analysis is mission, objective, strategy, tactics to understand an organization on its ability and purpose. So this is mostly done with your proposition manager, that what is high level mission, what is the objective, what is the strategy, what is the tactics, so that you understand that what exactly business is looking out for, what is the usual, what as per the business or as per the you can say the senior level management, what exactly is the mission of this project, what they are looking after, what they are expecting out of this product, so that you can understand in the way uh, they are looking at it, and you should also copy and put it into your requirements. Requirement analysis, the questions and interviews to understand the intention of the requirement. So requirement analysis itself is something, when you get the requirement, you immediately get few questions into your mind about that requirement, and you start documenting those questions, which is going to help you to understand from requirement clarification point of view with the relevant stakeholders. When you discuss these problems or these questions, you get more clarifications, and your requirements get better. Pestle analysis. So pestle analysis is nothing but political economy, social, technological, legal, environmental, to understand an organization and its ability and purpose. So when, as we are operating in this whole ecosystem, you understand that what are political views outside, what is the economic views, what are social views, how people are looking at this project, how, what are technology constraints, legal constraints or environmental constraints are there while launching this project, or while this launching this product. So you understand that what changes you have to make accordingly, so that these things do not impact your product, or these things do not impact your requirement. CATWO analysis is client actor transformation, worldview, owner, environmental constraints, to identify the problem areas and how the solution will impact the business and its associated people. Yeah. Another very good technique is Moscow analysis, which is must, should, could, or won't. So this generally requirement, this is generally a technique of requirement prioritization. When you get requirements, when you start decomposing your requirements, you get, like, sometime it is like 20, 25, 30, 30, 100 requirements kind of the line items are there. Now it's not possible to put everything into one, as a one whole piece of work. You have to prioritize your work or prioritize your requirement. So this techniques helps you while having a discussion with your stakeholders. You can discuss and you can mark those requirements in these categories. So must is something, without this requirement this project will likely to fail. I mean, this, which is something which is required and cannot be delayed or cannot be, you can say, ignored. Yeah. Should requirements are important, they can be delayed if time, resource or money are tight. So should requirement is something, those are very important requirements, however can be delayed, not immediately required. Sometimes people say, what is MVP, minimum viable product? So what is minimum which is required goes into must. After minimum which is completed, then should requirement would come. Could requirement, something nice to have requirement, sometime a cosmetic change, could be a nice to have change in you can say website or web page. However, it is not required exactly now, it can be delayed. So those are kind of nice to have requirements. Won't requirement is the least critical requirement and can be completed later stage. If you have enough budget, enough timelines, you can consider won't requirements to be prioritized. Now, how to become an IT business analyst session 2. So this is what we have covered so far, is the recap of our previous two videos. And now I'm going to cover the new topic about how to become an IT business analyst. So today's topic is to have the requirement gathering techniques. So as we are all aware, there are various requirement gathering techniques, how a business analyst can gather a requirement. So first is the brainstorming. This is not likely you can say requirement gathering, but sometime what happens, you have a problem and you do not know what exactly the solution is or what changes to be implemented. That point in time, brainstorming with the stakeholders, it is kind of an ideation process wherein multiple people come, they are going to give you some ideas, basis that you can document those ideas, and then you prioritize those ideas, you refine those ideas and get into one probable solution and start getting the requirement clarification. Focus group is something in brainstorming, you don't actually limit your audience or limit your stakeholders. Anybody who has interest can come and brainstorm and provide their ideas. On focus group, there's a small set of group, and generally these kind of a focus group are designed to do a market research. Sometimes product is failing in the market, sometimes product is not doing good in the market, sometimes the better products are available in the market. So these focus group have a responsibility to go ahead, do that research, discuss among themselves, and come with a like concluded idea, or come with a concluded document which says that, oh, this can be our approach which can take us into the better reach to the market. One-on-one interview, specific questions to be answered by single stakeholder sometime, like for example legal or a security team. So those can be only one person. You can go ahead, you can have your questions ready before before the meeting. You can discuss, you can share those one-on-one interview questions with them. Those are standard questions. Sometime every project need to answer those questions. So this kind of a requirement gathering technique is helpful, wherein you are not inviting everybody, all the stakeholders into call. However, you just need one person feedback and you can put it into the requirement document. Group interviews is nothing but, like as I've told you about implementation SME. Now implementation SME, as we are aware, implementation SME is someone who represent the end user, the people who are actually using the system for the company. So they can basically invite their own people who are actually using the system, and everybody come in a group interviews, and then you can ask your questions. They can provide their feedback. That way your requirements get refined. Yeah. Requirement workshop. So basically, sometimes what happens is, like, you have to gather the requirement. You know who are different stakeholders are there. You have already identified those stakeholders. You have classified those stakeholders, and now you set up a meeting, Teams meeting or a Skype meeting. Yeah. So you invite all those stakeholders. You start having a meeting with them. You put your questions. You start you start your walkthrough of the requirement, and other people, other stakeholders who are there on the call, who gives your feedback. That way you document the feedback from each one of them. Another requirement gathering is user observation. So it is kind of shadowing real time end-to-end process. So as we know that once you have a project, sometimes you have to understand their pain area. You have to, rather than gathering the requirement, you have to extract the requirement. So what you do, you go people who are actually using the systems on real time. You sit along with them, you shadow them, and you get those real time requirements, and you understand the end-to-end processes, and you eliminate the waste from this either process, or you understand their pain areas and you try to define those as a requirement, and then later on you enable the solutions for them. Document analysis. Sometime what happens is, you have various other documents available in the system. People who have earlier gathered the requirement, existing BRS, or you have existing system documents, you have process documents, you have as is process, you have instructions, you have manuals, you have other documents which are telling you about, which can tell you about this, how system is behaving currently. And via those documents you understand the pain areas, you understand the new requirements which can be an opportunity, and you start documenting and discussing the requirements with these stakeholders. Reverse engineering. In case you do not have any documents, or uh, as is process documents, or some existing BRS is not there, and there is one system which is running, but however there are so many defects in the system. So you understand those defects, you understand those tickets every day which is coming up as an incidents, and you understand those pain areas. You go back and discuss with these people who are using the system, and you start documenting. Prototyping. So prototyping is nothing but, you understand the problem, you understood the problem, and you have designed one, uh, you can say you have not designed, you have basically suggested one solution to the client. Sometimes these are like kind of a mock-up screen, or in some solution into the test environment, which immediately after this prototyping, stakeholders can test, they can provide their feedback, and then accordingly you can make your changes and make it a workable solution. So basically it is kind of a early workable solution, which you have thought that this can be a solution, and then you designed it with the help of mock-up screens, and then you go back to the customers and understand from them what exactly is your feedback. So remember guys, this requirement gathering techniques, you can basically use all of them, or you can say you can use few of them in your requirement gathering life cycle. However, mostly you can say generally which people does the method is like the requirement workshop and one-on-one interviews are the famous ones which generally people use. along with that, people also do the document analysis, which gives you the as is process, or which gives you some idea about what questions can be asked, how the current system, to understand how current system is working exactly. So mostly you can say document analysis, your focus, your requirement workshop, and your one-on-one interviews. So these are the three major techniques you can say generally business analyst uses uh, to gather or refine their requirement. So this is something